Hi, I'm Tommy.
And I'm Paul.
Welcome to our podcast, Dementia from the Inside Out. Hello and welcome to everyone around the world to our podcast, Dementia from the Inside Out. I'm Tommy Dunn and I'm living with Alzheimer's.
My name's Paul Hitchmo, also living with Alzheimer's.
And today we're going to be chatting about preparing for the future following a diagnosis of dementia.
It's very important that people living with dementia put in place plans for the future as soon as they're diagnosed.
Yeah. In the UK, the Mental Capacity Act allows us to actually make plans for the future.
This includes saying how we would like to be supported in the future.
And who should make decisions if we lose the capacity to make those decisions ourselves.
So it's important to start discussions early with your family members, as well as putting in place a power of attorney and one for your health.
Yeah. Here at Thread CIC, we cannot emphasise enough the importance that you can't prepare early enough for the future.
So try to put important papers in one place. Make sure a trusted person knows exactly where they are.
Yeah, but just because a person's being diagnosed with dementia should not exclude them from participating in the planning of their own future, should it?
Dementia can affect a person's ability to make decisions.
Yeah, because it can affect the parts of the brain that involved in remembering, understanding and processing information.
So it's not all about memory.
Yeah, but while this is true, it does not necessarily mean that the person with a diagnosis of dementia lacks capacity to make decisions with dementia. Capacity is time and decision specific.
Every adult has the right to make his or her own decisions and must be assumed to have capacity to do so unless it is proved otherwise.
Yeah, this means that you cannot assume that someone cannot make a decision for themselves just because they have a particular medical condition or disability.
Can you imagine purposely not telling a young person with cancer they have a terminal disease for fear it would cause them more harm?
Yeah, a person has a right not to know their diagnosis if that is their clear and informed preference, and that's why you need to make it known now.
It should be communicated in a respectful, sensitive way that differentiates the syndrome from person. The person is not the syndrome.
Yeah. See, the trouble is many people feel the need to protect loved ones from use of the devastating and often stigmatised illnesses that is dementia.
Although it may be hard to talk about the end of life, it's important that the person living with dementia's wishes are known.
Yeah. End of life care and care for the loved ones who are left should be addressed as soon as possible after the diagnosis.
The trouble is, dementia remains a condition that many general practitioners are not familiar or comfortable with.
So if you are accompanying the person when they receive the diagnosis, be prepared to help them as if they've just been told about a loss, as they will grieve.
The absence of a simple test and the complexity of dementia that creates delays in diagnosis.
Yeah. A system needs to be set in place to detect dementia and care for people who have no carer as well.
But every individual has a right to know.
Negative attitudes about dementia need to be addressed to break down the barriers hindering recognition and acknowledgement of dementia in the wider community.
With our growing and ageing population, dementia will become increasingly more common in primary care.
Yeah. Now, my peers who have had a timely diagnosis can be. It's also a relief because the individuals and their family know that there is something wrong.
Timely diagnosis has benefits. It can allow a person living with dementia to make choices about their future while they are still able to.
The person living with dementia can help plan finances, powers of attorney and care in advance, access to medications that may relieve symptoms. It's important to receive support from community services which can enable the person with dementia to continue living in the community and for as long as they possibly can.
Dementia is a profoundly life-changing condition, and a formal diagnosis is sometimes experienced as a severe shock.
And it's important to explain to the person that contrary to social misconception, there is a great deal that can be done to help people living with dementia.
So we've heard arguments against disclosure which included that it is no benefit because there is no cure and that the person would forget anyway.
Now, many people living with dementia will not remember who had given them the diagnosis, but they will always remember how they felt when they were given it.
So it's important that disclosure should not be a one-off event.
Yeah, it needs to be ongoing, dynamic process and a fundamental part of the care of a person living with dementia.
While there's no easy or perfect way to deliver bad news, the person doing it must do so in the most appropriate and least harmful manner.
Yeah. By ignoring our right to integrity, you're forgetting that underneath our illness still lies a human being who is once in control of their own life.
For many of our peers, and indeed a lot of people, being able to drive a car is an important part of living an independent life.
So it's particularly important that if they live in a remote rural areas with no public transport, or as I found in some rural villages, the bus only runs when the schools are open.
As you can imagine, having to give up driving can have a dramatic impact on how and where we live, and our freedom to do things important to our everyday living.
Yes, I personally had to give up driving immediately because of my cognitive and spatial awareness. But a person living with dementia may still have to give up driving immediately as well.
Maybe that could be because their insurance is no longer covers them, or for a limited time after their diagnosis.
So, as you can imagine, this causes a great distress, particularly if the person is the only driver in the household.
Particularly if they live in an isolated area or miles away from buses, trains, etc.
Yeah. But the person by law must tell the DVAL, the Driving Vehicle Licence Authority, that they want to continue to drive.
The DVLA will make a decision on whether the person can continue to drive after seeking permission to obtain medical reports.
Yeah, and if you do, if the person's asked to undergo a driving assessment, and if it agrees that the person can still drive, they will be issued with a new driving licence, which is usually valid for only a year though.
The relieving nature of a regular routine can be even very potent for people living with dementia.
I mean, yeah, something as simple as going for a lunchtime walk around the block. These daily routines provide you with a sense of comfort and control over an otherwise hectic existence.
A predictable routine can prevent a person living with dementia from becoming distracted and forgetting what they were doing. Yes, we don't forget everything, especially if we are routinely doing it.
Regarding a regular routine for someone with dementia, the overarching goal should be to tailor it as much as possible to the person living with dementia's preferences and past activities.
We cannot overstate the importance of starting the routines as early after diagnosis as possible, as it helps the person living with dementia to stay more independent.
Now remember that advanced care planning discussions with a person living with dementia will take time.
It's unlikely that a one-off conversation or meeting will cover everything.
You should also keep in mind that the person living with dementia can change their minds about such things.
Some advanced statements could be about medical treatments that a person would not want, were they to lose capacity to make decisions about these in the future.
Yeah, now what these are called, these are advanced decisions to refuse treatment, and they have a special status in law.
The law says that people can make unwise decisions. For example, we all know it's unwise to smoke, but the law allows adults to do so.
So just because you think a person is not making a sensible decision doesn't mean that they can't make that decision for themselves.
Give yourself time to adjust to what dementia diagnosis really means for you.
You may find it helpful to talk to a counsellor at the memory clinic, or if a local clinic offers this type of support.
to be sure that your wishes or the wishes of the person that is living with dementia will be met in the future. It's a good idea to start planning right away.
Yeah, so if you've been diagnosed with dementia, start discussions straight away with family members about what your wishes are.
Put important places in one place and make sure the trusted person knows where they are. Don't put them out the way without informing the trusted person.
But it's also important to update documents as situations change. These could include financial or medical documents.
And regarding your health wishes, decide on any healthcare directives and ensure they are placed in all medical files.
Now, regarding memory aids, use a notepad or sticky pads to jot down reminders, a pill box to keep medications organised, and a calendar to record appointments.
And if you live alone, ask family members or friends to find local services to help with routine tasks such as cooking, paying bills, transportation and shopping.
Now, identify someone who can visit you regularly and be an emergency contact.
If you're at risk of falling, order an emergency response team.
Yeah, a special pennant or bracelet lets you summon help if you fall and can't reach the phone.
So until next time, it's goodbye from me and
It's goodbye from him.